Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here from AXE Garage. Welcome back to our channel. You're new to our channel, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. And today we are back with John, Acura Integra DA9. And John will tell you guys a little bit more about it. All right, John, so what do you have here?
Hey, so just when you think your car is done, you can go ahead and change something that's perfectly fine on it. So a little while ago, I entered a raffle and I won these K-Tune K1 coilovers for a DC2 Type R setup, which happens to be the kind of suspension I'm rocking on my car. And I figured I've had the Teins in here for quite some time. I've heard some good stuff about these. Tein. Not Tein, or whatever, Tein.
I think we can move on with that.
All right, I mean, we can stick it if you want a little more, but. So we're gonna give these ones a try. I've heard some good things. I got them for free, or the cost of shipping, which was nothing. And I figured it'd be a good time to switch it out. I also went ahead and sourced these PCI upper control arms. They're spherical bushing. I've heard a lot of good things about them. Just wanted to go ahead and change it up and see how it goes. Everyone's told me I'm going to be in love with them. So,
question for these coilovers. What is the difference between these and the Tein? Because the Tein, are you happy with them? Why are you changing it?
So these are the ones on the car currently. I think they're the Comfort Zs or Flex Zs. I'm not 100% sure. When we take them off, we'll take a look at it and see. But they're just a little bit soft. They feel very, like for everyone's street car. I've been getting into a little bit more aggressive driving, and I want something that was a little bit more aggressive in its overall feel. I believe the spring rates are the same on these compared to those, but I've heard some people say that they're a little stiffer, they're a little more aggressive. I've just figured it'd be worth the effort to change them out because they didn't really cost me anything. And hey, I got labor all day long.
Hey, before we get these bad boys in the car, let's spend a little time and talk about this car over here.
If you followed us before, you've probably seen the car a little bit here in our channels or at our meets. This is my 91 DA9. It was, originally I got it here at the dealership. One of the salesmen had bought it and taken it in on trade personally. And the car sat in the back of the dealership for maybe 2 years. And I kept telling the guy, hey man, I'll give you 500 bucks for it. I'll give you 500 bucks for it. He wanted 1,000. We settled on 650. It became my headache. And that was the start of this build that has come quite a long way.
Does it look anything like this?
I mean, the car was black, kind of black, burnt paint, faded. You know, and it was not this color of black either. I believe it is flint black is the original color. First thing that we did is I had the car repainted Nighthawk Black Pearl, and that was probably about 6 years ago now.
Nighthawk Black has a blue tint to it?
Yeah, I believe it's the pearl in it that gives it the blue tint. It's pretty neat. When the light hits it just right, you can really see the blue in it. If not, it looks just like a nice black color. And that's where it all started. And from there, I started sourcing parts from out of the country. I got my headlights from Up Garage. I went ahead and got my JDM folding mirrors. I found the OEM lip kit out of Australia, shipped that over. We even went as far as to getting a 93 red GS, and I swapped the entire interior over it because this car came with black and tan, black outside, tan interior, and I wanted all the black, so swapped a whole car for that. We shaved the antenna, shaved the squirter on the top, Cybon carbon fiber hood, and then we also decided to take the original LS motor, do a Frankenstein, put a B16 head on it, hydraulic transmission, Wiseco pistons, skunk tube manifold. We painted the engine bay to match the outside of the car. A little DA9 plaque I got on there.
So this is a LS VTEC.
Correct.
Now the block is fully built, right?
The block is the original block and crank from the car, 220,000 miles on it. But what we did is we took and honed the cylinder walls, put Wiseco high compression pistons and some Skunk 2 Alpha Series H-beam rods, some King bearings, an ACL oil pump, and an ATI dampener. And that is enough to allow this bottom end to spin up to 9,000 RPMs without any problem, which it has done for years, non-stop. Like, I'm trying to break the damn thing, but it won't break.
Cylinder head, what do you have there?
Cylinder head is a first gen B16 stamped 1989 on the head. One of the first B series VTEC heads that they produced. And I went ahead and took and put all SuperTech valves in it, Skunk 2 Pro Series valve springs and retainers, Skunk 2 Pro 1 cams, Skunk 2 cam gears with some Downstar bolts. We have the Skunk 2 Lost Motion assemblies as well, Speed Factory Racing coil on plug kit, also the Spoon Sports oil cap here, and the Speed Factory cap delete for the coil on plug, and that pretty much rounds out that part. Also coupled with the RDX injectors, composite Skunk 2 fuel around the Skunk 2 Ultra Series manifold.
And you're running E85, correct?
Right now it's on 93. It has full flex fuel capacity. I have the Burton Racing flex fuel kit in it, and the Honda will automatically switch in between as I add E85 back and forth.
And the throttle body, what throttle body are you running?
That is the Skunk 2 throttle body. Don't mind my zip tie. That was an emergency fix while we were on the tail of the Dragon. Someone needed a clamp. I had to sacrifice my clamp. Zip ties work.
The zip tie typically fix everything.
Normally I fix them before I film it, but you know.
What about the headers?
Headers are Blocks high-tech reps that I went ahead and wrapped. The fitment on them is great. Performance is awesome. And the price is reasonable as well. So that was one of the reasons I went along with that.
Radiator?
Mishimoto dual core with a Mishimoto Raceline fan that we already ran a relay on to get the most power out of it, and a Flexolite fan on the thinner side here.
You have full AC, correct, on this here?
Yes, all accessories except for ABS and cruise control are still here, so that means functioning power steering, and that's the original pump, rebuilt or anything like that, and the original AC compressor on here still
and
running.
obviously Hasport mounts all around.
All Hasport mounts with the, I think I want to say 62A street rubber in it.
It's the softer one.
Yeah, to make it a little bit more bearable. Cusco Strut Bar.
Really nice radiator hose there from Spoon USA that we got from.
Yes, I believe we definitely, I found out that the Type R hoses fit. I hit up Mike, I said, Mike, you can order me these hoses? He said, guess what? I got them sitting in my office. Here you go. You know?
Shout out to Spoon USA.
That's right, all day long.
Let's go ahead and get the car up in the air. Let's maybe get the wheels off and take a closer look on the suspension. Very nice. What kind of Struts bar is that? So,
believe it or not, they don't make a ton of stuff for the DA9 chassis in particular. I was on the hunt for a nice strut bar. A good buddy of mine, Doc VTEC over in Australia, had this DA9 Miracle crossbar made by Next Generation Parts out of Japan. He had this part sitting in his collection for some time. This is the second gen model with a little bit larger diameter pipes, or bars I should say. And I went ahead and ordered the Japanese part from Australia for my car. So it's the Miracle crossbar made by Next Generation Parts.
You know, the other thing is pretty cool too, beside the Mugen box that you have here from K Motorsport. Shout out to Scott over there. A full spare.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's, I spent some time putting the MR5s together for the car. They're a little bit special because they're, from what I hear, they're rebarreled to a 6.5 because this wheel, this one being a fully original one, only comes in 6-inch wide in this design. They have a later version that had a different lip design to it, and that came in a 6.5. But the ones I have on the car now were pretty much a labor of love. They took a long time, and a person from Instagram actually reached out to me and said, man, I have a spare wheel. that I'll sell you for real cheap. And I'd like to see it go to a good home, and we made a deal and he sent it to me. So I figured what's nicer than having a full-size MR5 spare, you know what I mean? I can't beat it.
Well, before MR5, let's talk about the one that's on the car. Is completely refinished.
Yeah, these things were no joke. So I got them. They were in okay condition, original condition. Faces are black. These originally
Powder coat or paint?
Powder. These are powder coated by Bullseye Powder Coating out of Miami. They did the faces. I had the barrels polished at a local polishing company, and I had the hardware, which is specific to the MR5 wheel and most Fortran wheels, triple chrome plated. These are the original center caps that came with them when I got them. These are some very, very high quality reps that I have. And there's also the reproduced stickers that are for here, which really are in perfect condition. And I can't be any happier with them. They were expensive to do, but I mean, the proof's in the pudding. They're pretty beautiful. Everyone who I've met who has seen them and knows about them, they've said, man, those things are really nice. They look like they're brand new. All right, so here's my setup as of now. So the first thing you can see is I did the Willwood 4-piston caliper kit. The nice thing about this is that it fits inside a 15-inch wheel. They say a stock SI wheel, it'll clear. Uses your stock rotor, Willwood pads, nice 4-piston setup. Has some stainless steel lines on the car, a Skunk 2 Pro Series upper camber kit, and as you can see here, the Tein comfort control type flexes here, and they are all DC2. The other part I have here, which I had to modify to work on the DA because there's nothing DA specific, is the hard race front drop forks. One of the big differences between the DC2 suspension and the DA suspension is the actual diameter of the fork is smaller on the DA. So you have to run DC front forks. Problem with that is the geometry is a little bit different. So your axle will actually hit the fork if you don't modify it. I went ahead and dealt with that myself. You know, there may be other ways to do it, but that's the way I did it.
What you got in the back?
So in the back here, we're running a hard race spherical upper camber kit. Everything's a little dirty. You know, she gets driven. You see the same exact Teins on the back here. And the other part that's really nice about this is if you take a look underneath, I'm running the Function 7 Type R lower control arms because as I said before, this is the Type R style rear strut, and a full ASR sway bar kit and brace setup. And you can't miss the Tanabe Touring Medallion Exhaust.
I tell you what, that ASR brace setup is pretty serious. It got, you know, reinforcement bracket to go all the way up there.
Yeah, the sway bar is a pretty significant upgrade from stock. Stock actually mounts in a location over here, and this is a different setup. It's a lot more efficient this way. This is more like your DC2 and EG setup, and you cannot put a big sway bar on these thin sheet metal cars without supporting it. The ASR comes with everything necessary to run it, so you don't have to worry about tearing your subframe out.
So what's next?
So as I was saying, I have the Tanabe Touring Medallion Exhaust. Very beautiful exhaust. I got it brand new for the car. I love it, but sometimes it's just not loud enough. So I brought it to my buddy and I had him V-band it, and I have a Tanabe N1 style muffler that I put on here when I need to be just a little extra ricey, because I'm about that life sometimes. Can't help it. All right, so it's time to break this down. We're gonna start by go ahead and popping this top ball joint. So we're gonna remove this cover. The DAs have a weird little cover, covers the bolt. I haven't really seen it on too many other cars. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off. We're gonna pop the ball joint. Then we're gonna remove the coilover. Then we'll remove this upper control arm. We'll start putting it back together. Another victim of my trip to the tail of the Dragon was my inner axle boot. You can take a look at there. She didn't make it out of the tail so good. So I have another axle. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in there. It's not new, but it looks a little bit better than that. So in the process of doing this, we're also gonna swap this axle out. All right, so I have these additional camber kits because I was trying to create more clearance in this area, and they just slide straight into here. They come with new hardware. So here's my broken axle. This broke because I went with the axle that was a Prelude axle because it's a little bit longer. It's supposed to be a little better for a lower DA. For my situation, it didn't really work out for me. It caused some binding over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my other axle back in and see how that rides. Hopefully I don't have to buy another one, but Gator axle is what I really like to go with. Performance is awesome. All right, so we got the new old axle in, and you can see right here that I have proper gap in between my ribs on my boot here. The other one, it was all smushed together. I think this will be a lot better. We'll see how it holds up. Hopefully I don't have to get a new one. But what's next is the rear struts. Great success.
All right, man, so I guess the car's down on the ground. The front, obviously, a little lower than the back.
Oh, it's dumped in the back, in the front, I should say. So the back seems to be a pretty good height.
I like that height. I mean, it got a perfect gap with the meaty tire. I think it looked really nice back there.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. That's pretty close to where it was before.
Yeah.
This is gonna have to come up at least an inch. And I guess that's gonna be our next mission. We'll go ahead and pop the front wheels off, adjust the suspension equally, and then we'll go back down, check our height, then off to the alignment rack. All right, so when adjusting these coilovers, when you have a fully threaded body on these, the nice thing about them is I've already set my preload on the spring with these two cuffs right here. So now to adjust the height, all I have to do is unlock this cuff lock here so that I just screw the strut out of the body or into the body to lower it. The good thing is this gap here, this height, that adjustment is directly related to the height change that I'm looking for. So if I want to go up an inch, I add an inch right here, and that's my inch up. And that's what we're going to do now.
Well, I think it looks pretty good.
You know, I wanted to go a little higher this time. I'm perfectly fine with this height. I want it to be more about function, a little less about the slammed look. Like I said previously, I really want to set the car up to do more events like the Tail of the Dragon and other track events. And having the car low looks good, but the suspension doesn't have the geometry to perform properly. I think at this height, I should be a little bit better. I think all we gotta do now is touch up the alignment. This thing's good to go. Only for Honda, baby. Don't put those on your Miata. My toe is a little bit out in the back. Cambers are a little out, but I like the way it sits. I'm not really worried about the cambers so much. So I do have adjustable toe lengths in here, but the good thing about it is once you have them pretty set to a neutral position, then you can still adjust it with the factory adjuster here. So I'm just gonna do it just like this would be stock, loosen the 14, then use a pry bar to move everything into place.
So John's doing a little caster adjustment right there. Oh yeah. Looking good right there, Poppy.
I think we'll set it to the stock spec. I know what they say, more caster makes you faster, but you know, I'm already real fast, so I don't gotta go that far.
Hey John, your toe is way out, huh?
Yeah, you know, first off, we went a little higher, so that threw the toe off. Then adjusting the caster really, it does some interesting things to the toe. So that's why when you're adjusting your suspension, the theory is camber, caster, then your toe, because both your camber and your caster affects your toe reading. So there's no point in making any of those other adjustments before you go ahead and adjust your caster and your camber. Camber I'm not messing with. It's already maxed out on this kit. I know it's not even, but close enough for me is good enough. And we did the caster, which I think is gonna cause the car to handle a whole lot better. Now it's just toe. And that's where we're at now.
All right, John, so what do you think so far?
So far, I can't tell if it's a difference in the suspension or if it's that little bit, a ½ inch that I raised the car up, but the car, or even the camber arms up front, but the car handle is incredible right now. I'm completely happy with it. I wouldn't have wanted done it any other way. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if it's the coilovers that's I'm liking the most, but overall, I'm very happy with the whole feel of everything together.
In terms of the rebounds compression compared to the Tein and the K-Tune, which one do you think is stiffer?
So,
or I should say, to your liking?
I'm preferring this a little bit better. It feels like it's stiffer than the Teins, but I also had the preload really adjusted tight on that to give it a little less bottoming out. This one's not adjusted to anything but the factory suggested preload, and it rides great. I'm not bottoming out on anything. We're beating on it, and it's taking it. It's not wheel hopping. Everything seems good.
So the turn that we've been doing, weight balance, how do you feel that?
Feels good. As far as the shift when I'm going into turns and feeling that, my sway bars are really helping out with that, the rear one in general. But the balance is good, the feel is good. I might want to stiffen up the rear shocks a little bit more because I haven't really played with the dampening rebound on it, but that's probably going to be my next thing.
All right, guys, there you have it. We are all done with the suspension. John, give me 2 things you like the K-Tune better than the Tein.
So first off, I like the springs. The spring rate feels better. I didn't have to clamp down and on my preload in order to get the car not to bottom out. I'm really happy with that. I know on paper it says they're the same spring rates, but it still feels better in this setup. And I do like the way the dampeners adjust on this a bit too. Overall, very similar suspensions. I feel that this one's a little bit more aggressive, and I like that about it.
So in the upcoming weeks, what else should we be expecting?
So what we did on the car this time really conquered one of my issues when I took the car on the Tail of the Dragon trip. Was the suspension bombed out, my axle failed, and I was having issues with my camber arms. So those things we covered. Now I also want to cover the fact that I'm not really happy with the GSR gearing on the mountain. So I'm going to be doing a CTR transmission that I have. We're going to rebuild it with new synchros and put an LS 5th gear in it. I'm going to upgrade the clutch and maybe work on the brakes a little bit more. That's probably what we can look forward to on the
Guys, you guys haven't already done so. You don't want to miss any of this content. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and give us thumbs up on these videos. And also support us. Go to the website, www.acurahondaclassic.com. Pick from your favorite shirt and also some hoodie. My name is Mike, and I got John right over there. On behalf of AXC Garage, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.